The hardest thing about playing carry is knowing how to perform well in team fights. Anyone can farm well and avoid dying, but the thing that separates a decent carry from an excellent carry is teamfight capability. Every pro can farm as well as Yatoro, but why is he considered the best? It is because he's the best carry when it comes to taking team fights, and in this guide, I'll be going over a blueprint that will teach you guys to teamfight better. To always be able to take good team fights, we need to be mindful of three things. Team fighting is all about having the correct target prioritization, and the three questions I will share with you are the blueprint for that. The first question you need to ask yourself is, what is my hero good at? To make things clearer, let's take Faceless Void as our example since he's the strongest carry in the current meta. What is Faceless Void good at? There are tons of things Void is good at, but by strictly limiting it to teamfights and simplifying it, Void can use Chrono and delete whoever is inside from the game, which gives him and his team an advantage. After this, you need to ask yourself, what stops my hero from doing that? The answer to this question is the opposite of the first question. If Void can use Chrono and kill people inside it, the opposite would be his inability to do that. This could be something like damage issues inside the Chrono, external saves by the enemy, or basically anything that will let the enemy survive inside the Chrono. After this, you need to ask yourself, how do I fix this? Now you have to identify what issues you will potentially be facing based on question number 2. Let's say there's a scenario where you're playing against a Vengeful Spirit or a Pudge. You know that if you use Chrono, these two heroes can save whoever you Chrono, which will result in a bad teamfight for you. In this case, you cannot buy any item that will help you overcome this issue. If you have damage issues, you can buy damage. If you can get stunned inside Chrono, you can buy a BKB. But in this case, what you need to do is play smartly. There are multiple conditions that we can use to our advantage. We can either wait for them to waste their swap, hook, dismember, or be simply out of position. We can wait for an opportunity where we can Chrono our target whilst having these heroes inside the Chrono. Or we can just use Chrono to kill these two heroes. If we kill the saves, the fight becomes easier. Almost every carry hero wants to achieve the same result, which is to be able to right-click heroes to death, but there are a lot of micro things required to make that successful. I'll be going over multiple visual examples for you guys to have a better explanation, and I'll be using Yatoro's gameplay to explain that. The first example we will be looking at is Yatoro's Faceless Void. Keeping those three questions in mind, first we need to see what heroes Yatoro is playing against. When you look at these heroes and think about what stops Yatoro from killing people inside the Chrono, it's mainly Venge's swap. As discussed before, no item can help Yatoro overcome this issue. He just has to play smartly. Now let's look at some different scenarios of this game. In this example, you can see Yatoro pushing in the mid wave, and then he sees that the enemy is trying to invade his triangle. He sees the Pango being aggressive but knows Vengeful is standing behind him to swap him out. Yatoro waits for the Venge to be in a bad position and lands a Chrono on both Techies and Venge. Notice how he does not care about landing the Chrono on the Pango. This is because even if he lands the Chrono on Pango, the Venge will swap him out and the fight could turn out badly. In this example, there's a fight going on at mid, and from Yatoro's perspective, he's just looking at the Venge so that he can be sure of when to use Chrono without her interrupting. He ignores the Pango and goes towards the Luna since Venge is right next to her. As soon as he sees that Venge has used her swap, he uses Chrono on the Luna and ends up killing her. There's nothing really stopping Yatoro from killing anyone in the Chrono except for the swap. He has BKB for Techi's Taser. Most of the things can be countered by buying the correct items. For the rest, you just have to play smartly and be patient. Let's look at this example in slow-mo so we can have an idea of how important keeping track of the Venge is. Yatoro's just spectating at this point and waiting for the perfect opportunity. His team starts the fight. Ember and Darkseer both go in and use their spells, which ruins the enemy positioning. Look at what Yatoro is doing. He's just watching where the Venge is, and then when he sees the opportunity, he lands a Chrono on all 5 heroes and they win this fight convincingly. The second example we will be looking at is Yatoro's Anti-Mage. Again, keeping those 3 questions in mind. What does Anti-Mage like to do? He wants to blink on an easy target, delete their mana, and burst them. The idea is the same. Every carry has their own way to right-click heroes to death. What stops Anti-Mage from doing that? Multiple things can stop Anti-Mage from doing that. This includes saves and heroes that Anti-Mage cannot man up to, like Swen, Troll, Templar Assassin, Meepo. Now we have to figure out what heroes Yatoro is playing against that could be an issue. Venge's swap is a problem yet again, and then there's Troll. If Yatoro blinks in a bad manner, he will dig his own grave against these 2 heroes. So now Yatoro has conditions. He can't jump on the Troll directly, and he needs to kill the Venge in order to kill others or isolate them. In this example, you can see Yatoro not committing but using his Aghanim's illusion to toy with the enemy. Eventually, Venge wastes her swap and dies. Yatoro understands that he cannot jump in because Troll is still alive, so he waits for the moment when he knows that Troll is going to be vulnerable. He sees that Troll doesn't have any mana left thanks to his Aghanim's illusions and Bloin's mana drain. He jumps on the Troll and ends up killing him. Since Venge is dead, there's no one to save the Troll or their other heroes. In this example, you can see Yatoro using his Aghanims again. This makes the enemy go back, allowing Yatoro to get a better position outside of his base. Now he's in a position from where the enemy won't expect him, and this will allow him to jump the backline easily. He uses more of his illusions and waits patiently for the enemy to go towards the tier 4s. The enemy goes inside, and because of this, Yatoro ends up finding an isolated Venge and kills her. Now after Venge is dead, the fight is easier because Yatoro and his team don't have to worry about saves and can hard commit. Even after killing the Venge, Yatoro still doesn't want to commit because Troll can still just 100 to 0 him, so he waits patiently. Troll respawns from the ages and Yatoro sees this as an opportunity to kill him, but even in this case, the Troll BKB ends up killing Yatoro. Yatoro then uses his buyback and kills the Troll. Troll versus Anti-Mage is very favorable for Troll, and usually, if you are not thinking about these things, you will not have a chance. Keep these 3 questions in mind, and then figure out what your hero is required to do in each situation. The third example we will be using is Yatoro's Troll. Again, keeping those 3 questions in mind. What does Troll like to do? Troll ideally wants to lock down a target and burst them down with his ult. The same thing as before. Most carry heroes want to right click people to death, just in different ways. What stops Troll from doing that? Now the opposite of what Troll wants to do is the inability to do that. This means that if he gets kited in his ultimate or stunned, he will die immediately. This could include things like Black Hole, Chrono, RP, Ghost Scepters, Yules. How to fix that? Most of Troll's issues are solved by his itemization. Aghanims can be used to dispel Ghost Scepters and Yules. BKB solves all of the stun issues, but there are certain things you cannot buy items for, as discussed before. Now we have to figure out what heroes Yatoro is playing against. That could be an issue. Yatoro's Troll is against the Faceless Void, Magnus, Pugna. Pugna can use Decrepify to save heroes from Troll. Void can just Chrono and kill him, and Magnus can RP. In this example, you can see that Yatoro decided to skip BKB even though they have a lot of stuns. This is because even if he does have PKB, he will still get Chronoed or RP'd, so it's not that useful. Yatoro is vengeful in his team, and he's positioning himself near her so that if he gets Chronoed or RP'd, she can bail him out. Yatoro is taking Roche, and the enemy initiates on him with Toss, and then Void gets a Chrono on both Troll and Chen. Since Venge had a good position, she swapped the Chen out, and Void didn't have enough damage to kill the Troll. Yatoro then gets RP'd, but at this point, they don't have any follow-up which allows Yatoro to press his ult and kill the Magnus. In this case, it was mostly about having a good position where the enemy cannot burst you and the right itemization. Let's take another example. In this game, Yatoro's Troll is against a Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger counters Troll with her Focus Fire and Wind Run. So in order for Troll to kill a Wind Ranger, he needs to wait for an opportunity to jump her when her Wind Run is on cooldown. Here, Yatoro is hitting the enemy tier 3 and then gets zoned out of arena. He sees that Wind Ranger has used her BKB, Focus Fire, and Wind Run, so he holds his BKB instead of using it and jumping her inside the arena. As soon as the BKB of Wind Ranger wears off along with her Wind Run, Yatoro jumps in with Tide Ravage and uses his ult to kill her. The mistake players make when it comes to teamfighting is trying to make plays that their heroes aren't supposed to make. This is a very common issue. Every hero has his own weaknesses and strengths, and you need to identify them and play accordingly. If you try to do something that your hero is not supposed to do, you will always end up failing. Certain conditions have to be met for your hero to overcome its weaknesses. Sometimes it could be itemization, and other times it could just be playing smartly. Use this blueprint to determine what your specific hero is strong and weak at, and adjust accordingly. If you wish to improve your gameplay on any role significantly, I offer private coaching lessons as well as training plans, which can help you reach higher ranks as they have for other students. If you're interested, limited slots are available, which can be found on my Discord, linked in the description. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video for more high quality content like this. Other than that, I stream on Twitch, which can also be found in the description. Do let me know in the comments if you have any feedback. Otherwise, have a nice day and good luck with your games.